Hi Chesapeake, it's Tina Clark. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to be talking money and mortgage with Nate Allen,
Hey!
mortgage loan officer extraordinaire. Thanks Nate for taking time out of your busy day. I know you're a very busy guy, so I appreciate you joining us.
My pleasure.
So I met Nate a couple weeks ago at an open house. You came by with a little bag of goodies, and Nate gave me $300,000 that day. And a nice little card that said that he gave me $300,000, and my daughter came and looked through that bag later and said, "What? Somebody gave you $300,000? What? Can I get some Robux?" I said, "Oh no, you can't have any Robux."
Yep.
So that's how we met, and we've just been friends ever since. So I'm going to talk to Nate today about mortgage. He's going to give us some advice, and then we'll go from there. So how long have you been doing this, Nate?
Thank you so much for asking. So I've been doing loans in some capacity for about 6 years. And for about 18 months I've been doing mortgage-specific loans, which has been pretty fantastic.
Good, good. So aside from the income in this, what made you choose this profession?
Thanks for asking. So as Tina knows, I'm a military spouse and I'm also a Navy veteran. So one thing that I'm super passionate about is helping military and veterans get the absolute best rate and lowest fees using their VA benefit. So that's one thing that really led me to where I am now here at VA Choice Home Mortgage.
Good, good. And what is it that you love about this job?
So what I love is multifaceted. I love going out and networking and meeting new people, kind of like I did with
Yes, I know you do. Me too.
I'm not naturally extroverted, so every time I go and break the ice with someone new, I've got to kind of pep myself up and just kind of face those little insecurities of what if they don't like me, those kind of things. So a job like this, I work on 100% repeat and referral business. So the only way that I'm going to basically have a job is to meet new people, to build new relationships, to plant new seeds, and then of course to nurture those relationships moving forward. So I'm actually still friends both Facebook and in real life with people that I did business with 6 years ago.
I don't know if I believe you're not an extrovert. I don't know.
Oh, well maybe I'm a trained extrovert.
Maybe. Yeah. Okay, so we've got how many mortgage brokers in this area? Thousands, right? So tell me, why would somebody come to you versus going to somebody else in the area?
Great question. Thanks so much. So, one reason is just because, I see myself as two things, someone you can like and someone you can trust. And in this field, as with any sales field, you'll find so many people that will kind of not really answer the question if someone's asked a question, or they're so focused on what's in it for me, how can I make a little bit more money, these kind of things. So what I've always learned from the very beginning, working with mentors, is when I can operate in that small, margin of complete trust and be transparent with people, really focus on what's best for them, it really goes so far. And it's been such a blessing because of that. People send so much business to me. I've lost deals because I've answered in their best interest, and then the same person sends me 3 referrals because they trust me. So more than anything else, hopefully I'm likable and you can trust me.
Good.
And I have the best rates, lowest fees.
You're the best.
Yep.
So what can you offer that makes you stand out then?
Great question. So usually what's important to people is their own hard-earned money. So especially what I can offer right here is literally the lowest rates. Working for an independent mortgage broker, I work directly with the wholesale lenders. It's kind of like a product at the store, except I'm selling money more or less. And since I work directly with the wholesale lenders as a broker, my rates are on average about 0.5 interest rate, percentage points lower than our competitors here in Hampton Roads.
Okay.
Also, I don't charge a 1% origination fee. So that can really help out with closing costs, especially if a seller is not wanting to give all those away.
And when I met you, one thing that you mentioned to me was that you have the ability to help clients that other lenders can't help. So if somebody's trying to get into a house, they get turned down by another lender, that typically you can help that person. So can you give me an example of when you help somebody that another lender wouldn't have been able to help?
Thank you so much for asking. So that's absolutely correct. There's so many fantastic retail lenders, a lot of them with names that you'll recognize or see on TV. But in order for those business models to be sustainable, they have a lot of what's called lender overlays. One of them, for example, on VA loan, most retail lenders in this area, you have to have a 620 to get approved on a VA loan, for example. There's other loans and programs too. For example, if someone's getting pre-approved and they're at a 619 credit score, most lenders in this area would say, hey buddy, you need to work on your credit a little bit. So maybe in a few months you'll get there, but let me refer you to a credit specialist. When in reality, especially on VA loan, the Department of Veterans does not set a minimum credit score. So since I get to write my loans directly to the VA rules without those additional bank or lender overlays, it frees up a lot of area that allows me to still do the loan. And sometimes it's in the best interest of a military or a veteran to buy right now versus buying 6 months from now.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives a lot more options.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
It does make sense, yeah. So here's a hard question maybe, but what do you think is the biggest problem in the buying process right now? And are you actively doing anything to fix that problem?
Great question. And I didn't know about this question prior. We kind of brainstormed, but it's a great question. So let me think for just a moment. One of the biggest problems with the buying process right now, one thing that pops in my head is just I think a lot of buyers don't have the right information in the beginning to be able to make the most well-informed decision for their family. And that can be helped by having someone that you can trust who's giving you information that is in your best interest and not just the best interest of the salesperson, realtor, or mortgage officer along those lines.
Okay, good. So another thing I wanted to talk to you about, and this is just kind of giving advice. We have a lot of military in the area. And
thank you for your service.
Yes, thank you for your service. And I'm having an issue with one of my listings right now, kind of in this area, but so the military families, they transfer quite a bit every couple of years.
Right.
So if they're moving into a home and they have some great benefits, so they're able to move into a home with no money down. And typically in our area, it's pretty standard for the buyer to ask for 3% of the home value for closing cost assistance from the seller.
Right.
So a buyer here can move in with nothing down, nothing. So they move in, they're doing great, they've got a great payment, a couple years down the line they want to move out. Well, they don't want to, I guess they get transferred out, they have a little bit of equity in their home, but when they go to closing, they have closing costs of their own to pay, and then whoever's buying their home is asking for this 3%, they find themselves in a bad spot where they can't afford to move out of their home.
Right.
They're losing all their equity in closing costs, and then they're having to pay this other 3%, and they just can't afford it. So what kind of advice would you give a military family that's moving here or anywhere to kind of help them when it's time to leave, so they're not in a bad spot trying to sell their home?
Right. Excellent question, Tina.
Thank you.
And I have to commend Tina for even bringing this up, because I think the best solution to this scenario is just being able to provide that information up front. In the kind of looking at from the other perspective, here in Hampton Roads has one of the best rental markets that's out there. The same reason that a military family gets orders here for 3 years and might need to leave, there's another military family that's coming back from Spain that's going to be moving here that might be looking at renting. Of course, I love to buy homes. I have two, and have a vision to create more wealth, and I think that's always a great aspect to buying homes. But for someone who may be nervous of, well, if I buy a home and we have to move in 3 years, what am I going to do? Keep in mind, before you buy a home, you can look and pick a home that's in an area that, that might rent well. There's different factors your realtor or Tina could let you know. Hey, just in the event that we do have to move, can we try to find a house that might be in a good area to rent? Some areas rent better than others. And having that confidence up front, very helpful. Also, you never really know when a pocket neighborhood is just going to appreciate greatly. I've been able to help some people with some refinances and looking into their situations, and you know, I have some clients that bought a house in 2016, 2015. It's already gone up 80 grand.
Wow.
And you know,
Nice.
you can't always count on that,
Mm-hmm.
but buying a home is an investment, and it could be one of the perks.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just say, if you can proactively, you know, if you think that might happen, see if you buy in an area that might be able to rent well, because you never know in the military. You might think you're going to rent in 3 years, and then you get more orders, or you have some babies, and you decide, hey, we're actually going to stay here for a while, and then you just did yourself a service for buying a house and building that equity up. Kind of a long-winded answer there.
Okay. No,
So,
that's good. That's good
but,
information. That's good advice.
Find out if it's in a rentable area. Know that you're investing and you know, making a good decision. Talk with your realtor, someone that you can trust, like Tina. A lot of realtors avoid the subject completely. This is a good sign that she's someone you can actually trust, and that's a huge deal. You never know when a house that you buy is going to just really appreciate and you know, and be good. Also on VA loan, you can rent a house and still use your VA entitlement to buy a second house. So
Okay.
a lot of people aren't familiar with that, but it's a great way to do it as well.
Okay, good. So we need to look up at that and see what they can use down the line when they're moving.
Mhm.
Okay, good. We didn't know that. So this is a very serious question, Nate,
Okay,
that I
all
have
right.
for you. Inquiring minds want to know.
Okay.
You might have to put some extra thought into this. So
Okay.
what is your favorite ice cream flavor?
Oh, great question. So, little known fact, I lived in Nashville 6 years before moving here to be with my wife, who's in the
I
Navy.
see the boots here.
So I'm wearing actual boots, right? If you ever go to Nashville, on Broadway Avenue, that's where all the honky tonks are, there's a little place called Mike's Ice Cream. And they have some homemade ice cream there. Tennessee Fudge
Tennessee
is
fudge.
my
That does sound good.
favorite flavor. It is vanilla packed with these chunks of, you know, homemade fudge. It is amazing, but I would say that's my favorite flavor.
Okay, good. So we'll have to tag the place called Mike's Ice Cream. Is that what you said? Mike's Ice Cream.
Yep.
All right, we'll tag them on Facebook when we put this. And I have one more question for you. Well, two actually. So when you're out at a party with your friends, your family, are you just constantly bombarded with mortgage questions?
You know, funny thing, now that I have 2 babies, I get more bombarded on Facebook with just messages.
Questions about that?
But when I am out and about, you know, once people learn that I do mortgages, you know, people start
A lot of
asking
questions. Yeah, a lot of
especially if, you know, maybe this is an old acquaintance and they just realize, oh, he's doing mortgages.
Yeah, which you probably
Oh.
don't mind because maybe that's a client then, right?
I love
Use
it,
my
yeah.
card. Yeah.
Hey, Nate, I heard rates are low. It's now a good time to refinance. You know, having some questions like this. So,
Yeah.
yep.
So last question, what is a mortgage broker's biggest fear in life?
So broker specific or just a loan?
This is a loan
Just someone-
officer,
right.
somebody in the mortgage field.
Great question. Biggest fear? You know, that's a great question. I guess possibly a fear, since it is a sales related job, is just, hey, the well's going to go dry. You know, what happens if I don't? What happens if I don't get enough? You know, get new business or
Right.
these kind of things.
Yeah, no, you're wrong, Nate.
What's that?
You're wrong.
What is it?
Biggest fear is that you're gonna die alone.
Oh! That is funny.
That's it, Nate. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining me today.
Yeah.
Tina Clark signing out. See
Okay.
you around Chesapeake. Thank
See ya.
you.